Alrighty. Hey, everybody.
Hi, Mariam. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Are you going to do our intro?
I'm going to try. This
Let's hear
is the London Calling podcast with Mariam, Hamou, and...
Nicholas Saika-Voivod.
That's correct.
The luckiest man in London.
He really is, just because he gets to record with me. I'm joking.
One of the many reasons.
Anyway, so today we're going to get into the previous city council along with some of the issues that are facing us today. But on the agenda, there's urban growth, warming centers, homelessness response, the dashboard. It's finally up.
The dashboard is back.
It's up, but I actually looked at it. I have my own criticisms.
I haven't looked at it yet.
We'll see. Anyway, new micro modular sites. Dirty diapers.
Dirty diapers.
Dirty
diapers. They
diapers.
talked about that for a long time.
Yeah, there's some stats coming out with homes, some starts. We're not doing that well in London, and some the rents are coming down. So let's get started.
Well in what respect? What do you mean?
In terms of so we're not new starts, new buildings, new.
I see.
So
it's construction,
it has really slowed down because the market has just pretty much stopped. It's leveled out.
Well, there you go. Reach homeostasis, I guess, of some sort, and then so the market is.
It has to catch up
to that. Absolutely.
So there was a manufactured crisis in London in terms of with housing. We had a lot of students come in, so that was manufactured. It was some pressure coming in from the federal government as well as the provincial government. And now that they're not accepting as many temporary foreign workers as well as students, those numbers are going to continue to fall. And there are complaints about that, but I do see it as a correction. This is what it is. It's a correction.
Absolutely. It's not really something they discussed a lot at this particular council meeting, but it's certainly something we've been discussing, and it's nice to get an update from that. Do you want to stick with kind of the chronological order that we go through? Because it kind of makks sense. There's Ben Heffernan singing the
national anthem.
The national anthem. He was pretty good. It's like he was very casual, informal singing, but his high notes, they kind of came into focus. They were balanced.
Good, yes.
He knew his stuff. It was nice to hear. Then they were talking about, speed cameras after they were in camera. And they wrote a letter to the province with an association of the Association of Municipalities Ontario.
Right. So AMO, it's called. So this is the issue. Ford doesn't like it. It all stems from this big, huge fight that Brampton is having. They think it's a tax grab, which in Brampton it kind of is. In London, I don't know if it's a tax grab, but they need to fix the signage on the streets. I drive, and with all honesty, some places it's 40, then 50, then 40, then 60, then no. So you don't even know where you're going. So until they fix that, I don't think that it's fair to put those things in because people are just going to get weird tickets.
Well, it's about safety, and they're talking about that, about the need for signage and the obvious cost differentials between having a camera and an officer in school zones. And how, I always, personally, when the Ontario government, Doug Ford, started talking about all this kind of stuff, it seemed highly politicized and really silly because they spent so much money on these systems, and they do work. There's a lot of data to suggest they work. But I think it's just because his brother liked speed more than anything.
Well, apparently.
He liked 2 speed. Sorry.
It's okay. Oh,
am I allowed to say stuff like that?
You're allowed to say whatever you want.
It's the internet, isn't it?
It is the internet. So I have a weird soft spot in my heart for Rob Ford for some reason. It's the addiction. It's the addiction thing. So that's why I don't like to joke about it. But you know what? Whatever. That's fine.
You don't like my joke?
I don't care.
I worked so hard on that speed joke.
It's such a good joke. But, they found a report that apparently Ford's ministers and the people that all work from are all speeding anyway. They did this report.
Oh, really? You don't get so that lawless fraction, or the people who the fines don't really inhibit, people with a lot of money. But... yeah, let's keep the cameras. Let's be aware about where we're putting them.
Yes.
Use them strategically.
That's the point.
Have a lot of signage. I like those interactive. In Quebec, you see a lot of them where it tells you how fast you're going.
I love
that.
So
as you change speed zones coming into a small town from the highway, it'll be like, oh, you're going 70 and speed limit's 50. And then when you come down to 50, it's like, merci.
Well,
thank you.
It's so polite, and that's what I like about it, and that's what I want to keep in Canada is that politeness.
Absolutely.
And I think it's that little nudge, hey, you're going 40, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I went 60 and a 40. I'm sorry. I actually say sorry to the sign. I'm sorry. Okay,
I didn't know. I'm speedy. I don't want to.
And that's literally what it is. And I think most Canadians are that way.
Yeah, some of them are like, sorry.
Well, no,
pedal to the metal. Yeah. So there's the infrastructure committee. The business was moving pretty quickly at the beginning, which was nice to see. Councillor Frank did try to revisit the urban growth boundary by penning a letter to the fellow councillors. She cited a lot of information, like arguments, like data-driven arguments, but there were no citations in the letter. And it was such a close call, 7-8, because it's basically these new population projections. I'm not sure exactly where they're coming from, but they indicate that maybe the urban growth boundary, as we're accepting it, is a little big. So they're hoping to bring it back maybe as a means of protecting agricultural land, which is like super commendable. But at the same time, I mean, later it was discussed. Deputy Mayor Lewis basically indicated it's kind of too late now. It's
really
too late
is.
to redraw maps. It's kind of too late to reconsider all the planning we've done, all the expensive work that's been done on the development.
And this is the thing: you can't keep having the same argument over and over. You have to go forward with the agenda. You have to go forward with the information you have, and you have to go forward with your stakeholders. And if Councillor Frank, with all due respect, if she wants to do this, that's fine. But she has to go out there and have those discussions with all of the stakeholders, not only the stakeholders that she wants to choose.
Well, it was close. It was 7-8. Yeah. It was 7-8.
And it is a very close thing. But it's scary to understand and to know that people are going to do new research just because they don't like the old research. Like, that's my point. Is like, just because you don't like the research doesn't mean you have to go out and get new research. No.
Or the situation changes a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? You think they're kind of accommodating. Like this. Yeah. Because that's one of the things they talk about. If there's no need for development, there's no development that happens regardless of where the urban growth boundary is. But I think in times of economic trouble, that's when you want to kind of take the aggressive market stance.
Yeah.
But as we've been saying, it's an opportunity now for balance to be like, okay, well, we're aggressively expanding urban growth. Let's go back to that plan I mentioned, which is to raise the value of agricultural land by fostering an environment for small-scale farming, allowing for small family-run small business farms.
Yeah, I mean, farmers. that's a great way to do certain things. Like, it's a great way to move the conversation forward. But it's like, how long do we keep having that conversation and we're stuck? Like, I agree. Like, let's get some of these strategies fit, like the strategic plan. Let's start checking off some of those check marks because we have to forward the agenda. That's my point here.
Yeah, and well, I mean, there's some big announcements with respect to supportive housing that we'll get into later, which I think is finally a furthering of the agenda after such a long wait for any sort of action. But we'll dig into that. Let's see here. Then they were talking about the mid-year operating budget monitoring report. So there are millions of dollars of this surplus money that are going to be used for homeless relief, especially temporary shelters. And Stevenson was talking against this. I think Stevenson, we talked about her a lot last time, but so I'm going to get my points about her out early. I think if she spoke about half the time, she'd be twice as effective. Because sometimes they're really, she's really bringing up important points, and other times she's like really wasting time. And sometimes when she's going on, it's almost like peanuts to me. Like I feel the other councillors are like, wah, 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 wah. Wah, wah, wah. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. Councillor Stevenson, she loses me on certain things, but on this one, she doesn't lose me because she's just trying to find out. Like, she's been trying to get this dashboard forever, and I think this is just the continuation of that conversation. Is like, but the information, and so they came out with the dashboard. They have a dashboard now. Yeah. I looked at the dashboard, and I can get those numbers from the report.
Oh, you've been getting them. You've been actually posting them in the little info reels.
Yeah, so they're not up to date. They're still from September 2025. So where are we? We're October 19th. So we're 10 days away from November. I understand that we're looking at research going backwards, but honestly, we can't. How many service providers do we have? How many are actually providing shelters? If it's only 90 or 100 beds, we can figure out if that one's not being used tonight. Like, that's only 100 beds. It's not like we're looking at 10,000 beds. So, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's like the homeless population. It's like less than 2,000.
Yeah.
And then the unsheltered population is only a few or several hundred. So it's not like these problems are so large that we can't deal with them.
This is what I actually think that the staff is focused on all of these reports. It's not their fault. Again, this is not on them. This is just council saying, okay, report. And they're not actually able to divvy up their time because they're busy doing all these reports to talk to the service agencies, say like, hey, what's going on? Can you give me the information?
Or if they're being asked for little changes on reporting, these little minutiae, something I always say, they're talking around the issues. Like we'll get into this when we get into the whole of community report that they discuss at some length. They talk around it and they don't really dig into the bones and flesh of it. Now, then they're talking about bike parking implementation. So they're just approving a 4-year plan to be installing more bike racks and secure bicycle parking facilities in London. And, I say, meanwhile, somewhere in Old East, someone's chaining their fixie to a tree, making real progress in the city.
Yeah.
But bicycle parking is a good thing. And then it was the green bin.
The green bins, yes.
Weekly garbage collection. They wanted summertime collection for waste, like back to a weekly schedule for regular garbage in the summer, which was voted down. It was a waste of time. It was taken to the dump, that motion. If you hear what I'm putting out.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about this whole motion. Sorry, my brain went into that motion. So yeah.
Well, it's complicated because Councillor Van Meerbergen, he always recuses himself for conflicts with respect to childcare because his wife operates child. And then he brings up this motion about putting diapers into green bins, which some of the sharper councillors immediately realize would just contaminate compost supply and add inorganic material that would have to be mechanically sorted out of the green bin program, which is otherwise doing well. So it was like really silly. It was a waste of time.
Yeah.
And he also kind of brought it up in council. He should have taken it to committee. So it was thrown together haphazard.
And this is the thing is like I think that he saw an opportunity here when he saw this come up on the agenda, and I understand where he's coming from. There are certain services that the city's supposed to do, and these are the things that we count on them for. One of them is traffic, another one is garbage collection. So I see where he's coming from. I see that it's one of our municipal services that we face, and yeah, maybe some councillors don't understand how the garbage system works. I don't expect everybody to understand that, to be honest. I don't know. It's complicated. And I know Councillor Pelosa understands it from what she said. She said that they can't, and that's logical. So I think it was just it was a waste of time.
It was a big mess. But I mean, they brought up some interesting stuff came up because they voted unanimously to consider feminine hygiene products with sanitary stuff, which is good. And they were talking about how some municipalities actually they incinerate these materials, not only to deal with their hazardous nature, but also for energy. And I've always been a big proponent of these technologies.
We have one in London, and I don't know if it's still working, but we've had it forever, and it's right on, what street is that? Right behind the train tracks and the fire station on... I
don't know about it. Maybe it's a private thing because they were talking about other municipalities like Durham.
I think we have one in London.
Yeah. Because that would be like smart if the city could maybe get into doing that. Because what happens with these plastics that aren't recycled, including like low density polystyrene, those foam blocks that they pack stuff in.
It's
like it doesn't actually get recycled. And if it goes to landfill, it eventually just gasifies and eventually just releases the carbon back into the atmosphere and the plastics into the environment, the microplastics or whatever. But if they incinerate at a really high temperature, at a high efficiency, you actually get some of the energy back out of those fossil fuels that were turned into the plastics.
Yep.
And then you can capture some of the pollutants and maybe even make materials out of them or store them in a way that's going to pollute the environment less. So I think, and then another thing they were talking about was, or I don't know if they were talking about specifically, but we could have like premium garbage tags if people wanted more regular pickup. So have a model that actually pays for itself for the cost expansion of these sanitation pickup services.
Yeah.
Based on, people paying voluntarily or whatever.
Well, this is the thing. Why do we pay taxes? What are our taxes for? It's to keep the city clean. And if we're not doing that, again, like why are we paying taxes? And we're paying all of these taxes, and they're going into all these little piles. And if we can't get our garbage right, it's those questions like, what can we get right? But let's try to get this right. Have those discussions. Where can we bring in a company that takes in the sanitary napkins and the diapers?
Yeah.
And how much does that cost?
It's a good idea, because you're supporting young families. I think it'd be a popular policy. But another thing they're talking about was dumping, like people, like large items getting dumped. So maybe they could have more frequent large item pickup to prevent that sort of behavior.
And this goes to the thing of Canadians being polite once again, and I think we're being a little too polite on this garbage thing. I've seen people like littering everywhere, and to me, like when I was a kid, littering was like that thing where like you're bad.
Well, you know who are being really polite? Where the official City Hall bromance between the mayor and deputy mayor.
Ugh,
But when the deputy mayor, no, you don't have to be grossed up. I think it's cute. They're almost like D&D players. They remind me of D&D players because it's like they have these little discussions about the rules.
I know,
and it's like so nerdy, and it's like literally these complex rules of order.
I know.
So
You know what they remind me of? They remind me of those guys that are like talking about climate change. And like the water's up to here, and they're like discussing the little policy things, the policy notes,
like that.
And it's like, dude, literally, people are
like they're like, your speech came in just in time, right under the 2-minute mark. They're like, yeah, it was so cute. But you know what? There's still no recycling downtown, despite all this green bin,
and despite all the cute 2-minute warnings. There's no recycling downtown.
There's no recycling. I live downtown, and I feel a lot of shame throwing away a lot of recyclables, but I try to live a low waste kind of lifestyle in the first place. But it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Well, you know what I do? I try to have in my apartment. I try to have less than one garbage bag full of waste, including recycling, including my recycling, because like honest to God, like how much are we? Like just reuse things. Like when I get a jar, I save it, and then I give it.
Absolutely. But then you end up with all these. You end up with like a cupboard full of jars.
Nobody don't.
And you lose some of the lids, and some of the jars have lids, and you think you match a jar to its lid, and it's not quite.
I put them.
And then
I
it
put
leaks.
them away like this, and then I give people things in my jars. Like I give people things.
That's nice. Well,
instead of wrapping paper.
Aren't you just so waste conscious and responsible?
We have to grow your food.
We must reduce, reuse,
read books,
recycle. Okay, proposed temporary warming center framework. So these are the temporary warming centers. So it's like, once again, it's like we should have been doing hubs the last 6 years, and now it's like this last minute stuff and diversion of what could have been used for tax relief into these emergency programs, which may or may not be completely efficient as temporary emergency housing solutions. And then you have Stevenson, neighing on it, but at the same time bringing up something specific, which was the fact that the Boyle Community Center is going to be used. So community members in her ward aren't going to be able to use the services of the community center. So
she's right about that.
She's right about that.
Because why are we? Because that community now has to pay for that as well. Like that's a cost. That's a cost. So this is what I think of everything. It's all reactive. And so again. So I understand why Stevenson does what she says what she says, because this was not here last week or last month. So it's reactive. So she's reacting, and her constituents are reacting. So I understand where all of it's coming from. I might not agree with it, but I get it.
And whether you agree with anything she says, she's engaged, and there's no doubt about that.
Oh God, she does an amazing job for her constituents.
This funny thing happened. Trostow accidentally voted against. And with Stevenson, and then he was like, "Oh, he was confused with what was happening." He's like, "Can I re-vote it?" And actually, you know what? Stevenson changed her vote too. And this is almost something I was going to suggest. Like, why can't councillors voice their concerns and then still vote yes for something that basically needs to happen, despite the fact that it's not perfect, especially when there's so much agreement on it? Because she's just kind of outgrouping herself.
Yeah.
And with those lose-lose situations, she could at least get a little bit of a win out of it if she was a bit demonstrated that team play token, like, I'm going to vote with you guys and I'm going to voice my concerns.
It's really sad to me that it has to go this way, because I think for me it's always about the issue, not about the personality. And it's like, if at least you have the spirit of something that makes sense, like let's vote for it, as opposed to like, oh, I don't like it because this word here says this. And it's, again, these guys that are arguing these little points where, okay, guys, there are literally, I just saw a guy here. He was getting undressed and washing himself in puddles, literally. So, come on.
And then later on, they're celebrating their successes with the announcements we're going to get to, which are worthy successes and definitely worthy of note and celebration. But then it's like, oh, like, we're doing such a great job. And it's the first movement we've seen basically since the first 2 hubs open.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of highly supportive housing. I would say they're kind of, especially now, really gaining ground on that front. But in terms of the hubs, it's still going. So let's move on.
Yeah.
So that was a temporary warming center framework. Lots of money going to that. Health and homelessness whole of community response research and evaluation report. So they're talking around the issues again, like we're talking about. The dashboard is all fine and well. Data collection, display are foundational, but as our own data analyses have pointed out, progress has been moving backwards this year. And it's a full analysis of the last 2 years. So yes, they made some improvements, especially with engaging certain groups of people, LGBTQ plus groups, indigenous and black indigenous people of color.
Yep.
So we're talking about these good things, but I think ultimately progress has been very, very slow.
So this is for me, there's a couple of issues. Okay, so number one, there's the issue of in terms of housing and housing starts, it's that we have a lack of, here we go. We had a survey. We had another survey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so this is.
I saw you posting about this, I think.
Yeah, there's surveys here, and it's about, is London a safe place to live? Only 35% rated city, very good. Now, this is what I want to talk about. I adore the chief. Like, I adore him. Every time I've seen him.
The chief of police.
The chief of police. I really do. Like, I adore what he's doing. I was driving home on Dundas Street Friday afternoon, and I saw him on the street talking to people that are walking like on the street. I saw him with other officers. This guy is on the ground.
Right.
I have not seen something like this. And then he's just everywhere. Everywhere I look, he's there, and he's trying to solve a problem. And he's not just doing the photo ops. He's actually on the street working, and I commend him. I have the utmost respect.
His contract's been renewed, right? He's going to continue being our chief for some time. So we'll see what happens in the next few years, especially with all the budgetary increases they've been getting. Hopefully they can improve some of their metrics significantly with that money, and with these new strategies they're using that are related to the whole of community, including, like, I've seen nurses accompanying.
That's what we're doing from LHSC, because I'm on
exactly.
their
That's right.
advisory.
The partnership between, yeah, that's right. London Health Sciences and London Police Services.
Yep.
Which is nice to see. And well, some of the statistics, some of this data gathering they're doing for these reports were being questioned by some of the councillors, and one of them, Pribble, was kind of on the ball, because one of the improvements is a reduction of emergency calls due to these programs, but then they don't have the data on how much was diverted to addiction and mental health.
They're also going to be on the buses, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, they're on the buses? Sorry.
The police are also going to be on the buses.
That's good.
Isn't that amazing?
Sometimes people definitely need help on the buses.
But it's not even that. It's just like, because there have been concerns with, what's happening on the buses. Like, there's open drug use, and, there's teens that are on those buses. And I worry. I have a 14-year-old daughter who uses the bus system, and, like, I don't want her to see that or have to be exposed to that. I know she's seen it, but it's just one of those things, like, you want to keep them a little bit more protected.
Yeah, we need a little more enforcement.
Yeah.
And that takes us back to 602 Queens,
Yeah.
right? They cleared all the people out in last month,
Yeah.
and then a few days later, the people had returned.
Yep.
And this morning, I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it was something they'll come out and use. But this morning, I was going by, and I saw a car crash into that corner, literally come off the road
Again.
and crash right into the goats. Great. So hopefully everybody was okay with respect to that. But as I suggested last time, maybe some visibility reducing fences with still openings in the corners, so that security, etc., can still look into the area if they want to, and citizens can still see in if they want to. But just a little. Okay, so let's get into this highly supportive housing announcement. These micro modular homes, 60 units, and they're going to be doing it. What was it, Wilton Grove Road? So this is like out. Last month you kind of described it as slapping stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks. But the more I hate to say it, Mariam, and you can disagree with me, but the more I look into it, I think this might be one of the best solutions.
Okay.
That London has come up for the hub / highly supportive housing, because it creates separation. You have people with their own spaces. It's very cost effective, only about $120,000 per unit.
Okay.
They're movable. They're putting them. It's going to be a secured area, and they're in the early stages of planning. So they're having intelligent discussion whether there should be, a harm reduction policy or like a sober policy. I think it's an opportunity to have multiple sites.
So amazing. I think that we have to remove drugs from everywhere.
Or at least there's an opportunity to have two similar sites with different policies, and then you can have a controlled study, even if it's limited in scope.
I think that would be a good.
They could have data analysis, right? And if they have a lot of success on this program, they could easily spring up more, because it's prefabricated cabins. Now they don't have bathrooms. I don't think they have bathrooms in them. I was looking at like similar.
I've seen them like so this is the thing, we've had them. Like we keep having, every year we do it, and it's like,
oh yeah,
we keep moving them. Okay, but why are we moving them? What is the purpose in moving them? We had them on York Street, then we had them on the golf course. Now we're moving them out to Wilton Grove. So every year so why aren't we just making a full location? How much money is being wasted putting them up, taking them down, and moving them every year? This is like, it's just,
Permanent locations would be good. More locations would be good. It is one of the advantages of modular houses, and I think one of the reasons they're moving is to create like physical separation to help with treatment options, because if people can be taken away from the vicinity of drug dealers and drug use, because people are entering these places that offer services, and then they're still surrounded by the environment of the drug use culture, right? And it's very difficult for, it's like when you go out, I know you don't drink, but you're like, I'm not going to drink tonight. You go out with your friends and they're all having drinks, and you end up drinking, you know what I mean? So having it far away makes a lot of sense. Having secure entrance. And then it's a space where couples don't have to be divided, where people don't have to be separated from their pets. And also the mechanical separation of the units also deals with like pest issues, like bed bugs. Through mechanical separation is like good policy for integrated pest management. Blah blah blah. There are just so many advantages. I think they are going to have social services and nursing stuff. Although I haven't heard this specifically, I assume this is going to be part of the program because it seems really smart, and it seems like Mr. Dickens and the city staff are really on this, and I really have to commend them. I think it's really good, and it's nice to see. And they're really applauding themselves, but at the same time, a lot more work still has to be done, and quickly.
Yeah. There's one issue that came up, actually. There's a couple of issues that came up in terms of not even housing, but just how policing is starting to how it affects every other service, but how it's starting to all come together. At LHSC, there was an announcement about we got 1,450 knives in 6 months. So working together, putting in those, so that stuff
is so deadly.
So dangerous. This is it, especially if you're in a hospital. Well, and I know, I remember I was on a ride along with a police officer, and there was a gun. Like, there was an actual gun. Yeah,
I saw that story. I also saw stories about they're like doing training for medical staff.
You have to.
Knife defense and stuff.
Yep. And I don't want to talk, but I'm not going to talk about the experience, but
it's lawlessness breeding lawlessness, because people feel insecure, especially unhoused people. They feel insecure, so they feel like they need a weapon. And that's just another compounding reason of why housing is so important for community safety, and that these narratives have to be connected.
No drugs. That's an important one. No drugs. And the reason why that is because, like, think about trying to sleep while your drug dealer or whoever's trying to get your money out of you. Like, you can't.
We'll see what happens. We'll be following this with great concern and interest.
There's one other issue that I was really interested in, because London's like traditionally this hugely NIMBY city, right? Yeah. Like London is NIMBY. But there's one issue that I'm really grappling with, and it's this: when we're doing infill, how many units are enough? And there's one situation in London where a contractor or a developer is getting away with putting in 40 to 48 bedrooms in one plot of land. Like one, where
I don't know what you're talking about specifically. Do you have the name or the address or anything like that?
So I'm gonna pull up the I'm gonna pull it up, but it's just that. So when we're doing infill, if it's a neighborhood, and if somebody's trying to put a building beside you, and it's like one neighborhood, how many units or how many bedrooms should be the maximum? So that's
they have these frameworks on it, and then they have to go through the approval process. They go through committee, through council, and what I find ends up happening with a lot of these approvals, because they spend so much time talking about some wording change on a motion, which is a waste of time. The bylaw changes and the approvals just get thrown through council by the swath. And, I have to be honest, like when the council meeting is 5 hours, I don't necessarily want to be spending another 2 hours looking at all the specifics of these development approvals and bylaw changes with respect to zoning changes, etc. So this is the thing. Politicians move to close loophole after MDL project sparks concern. This is the one that really so it's a 32 bedroom. So after one developer applied to squeeze 32 bedrooms between two buildings, which is supposed to be a single family home lot. Yikes.
That's where we have to be careful with what we're doing in neighborhoods, because we're still building, like at the end of the day, we're still building neighborhoods. And
Right.
what is a neighborhood?
Communities.
Yeah, in communities.
Yeah, it has to be balanced, and they do try. They are aware of these problems, and they do seem to be trying to put a lot of high rises along the major bus routes.
Yeah.
Which is all part of the plan. Which I think is like I think that, as I pointed out before, the London plan is doing pretty well. But being a downtown resident and seeing addictions, this is why, and the unhoused crisis every day is why I continue to talk about it, and City Hall's talking about it, and I know the community really cares. So I just want to thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks to everybody. And I know that this crisis has hit everybody. It's hit everybody. It's hit, I was talking to Nick about how it hits every socioeconomic bracket. It hits like any religion, any background, doesn't matter who you are. This homelessness crisis is coming from mental health and addictions, and all of us are touched by it.
I mean, we don't have to get into it, but I mean, we both Mariam and I have suffered extended family tragedies in our close family and friend circle with respect to this, and I'm sure many of our listeners have as well. So, I like to see the continued good discussion at City Hall, like that we saw in this meeting, and fast movement from all of council.
All levels of government, really. Like, let's go province, let's go feds, give us the money so we can
there's
house
that other
these
announcement.
people.
The feds, they're announcing in partnership with the city a $10 million highly supportive housing unit.
Yeah.
And then the HEART unit is still coming down with Canadian mental health. So we're looking at, if we count these units, another, 100, 120, 130 beds being open, hopefully within the next year. And
these are hospital beds that really need to be open, but whatever, we're just gonna, like, honestly, we just have to, whatever the government gives us, we just take it and we just try to turn it around into something.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention psychedelic therapy. It's something I discussed personally on my page, but I think there are a lot of opportunities. I mean, a lot of people frame psychedelic assisted therapy as a panacea, but of course it isn't. But it can help fill certain holes in treatment where medicine assisted treatment doesn't exist. For example, with methamphetamine use disorder, there's new data coming out about it from the University of Wisconsin for opioid use disorder, and it can be brought down in terms of costs if they research, applying it to a group therapy session. So I think London should be looking at this. If we're an epicenter within the medium-sized city of Ontario, we should be looking at everything we possibly can to help people, and hopefully, let's do a low 5 this time, right?
Okay, low 5. All right, here we go. Awesome. There we go.
See you guys. Peace and love.